Hello, and welcome to the Northwest Cavalryman Show, the podcast where your host, Rick Skolrud, discusses politics and news from Canada, the United States, and around the world from a conservative perspective. Warning, professionally offended people and liberal crybabies may be triggered. Viewer discretion is advised. While we put the finishing touches on this podcast, you are invited to visit the show notes. There are links to all of Rick's social media, including his website where you can sign up to take the Canadian Firearms Safety Course, which is a prerequisite for obtaining your Canadian firearms license, also known as a PAL. Rick teaches these courses in Maple Bay, just east of Duncan, on Vancouver Island, British Columbia. Now here's your host, Rick Skolrud.
Hey everybody, how y'all doing tonight? Just going to be going live. I thought that it would be kind of interesting to see what the Orange Man Bad has to say concerning the concerning world peace and tariffs and all the rest of that. I have a serious echo, do I? Let's take a look here. What's going on? I didn't think I was. Let's just see. Is anybody else getting this echo that's going on? That's better. Okay, because I didn't change anything. It's okay now. So it was probably a glitch. I have these really stupid glitches. I don't know what goes on with these. Every now and again, it just up in glitches. Sometimes I get a real staticky audio, and then I get just things stopping, like the audio stops or something like that. So I don't know what's going on with that. It really is quite annoying, especially when I'm just about to go live. Everything could be working fine, and then I hit live and things start going all wacky. But if it does start to echo again, I think I can probably shut down my microphone or do something, and then just especially after the press conference starts or his address to Congress. It's going to be interesting to see what he has to say, because now we've got the war in Ukraine, which is that's something he's probably going to talk about since Zelensky has apologized, at least in public. He's apologized. I don't know if he's sent anything to Trump in person, whether or not he's apologized that way, but he has apologized in public. And also, since the tariffs came on this week, I'm hoping that today, I'm hoping that he has some comments about that, and we can get a little bit something going. Okay, so it was echoing during the intro. Okay, you know what? I think I know why, because I had the, because that was a video. That's a video intro. And if I don't, I just didn't think about muting the desktop audio, so then it would play twice. But even then, I'm kind of surprised that it did that, because I don't have kind of a monitor open. But anyway, it's working out now. So hello, Kumovi. Hello, TJ, Riley, Suzanne, Tracy. Hello, Tracy. DJ. I know there are some others around, hopefully around. Let's just see if I can bring up my my main chat here. Okay, so Jimmy, we've talked to Jimmy a little bit here already. Paula Park. I went to school with a Paula Park, actually high school, so I'm wondering if that's you. If you went to school in back in Ladner, and you're born in 64, it might be. Hello, Faye, Robert J, Harley, good to see you. Critical Thinking, and Andrea from Quebec. Andre, sorry, from Quebec. I guess I should learn how to read. So no, I don't live in Ontario, so it's probably a different Paula Park. I'm from the West Coast. Born on the East Coast, but been on the West Coast all my life. So I'm currently in, I'm in Duncan, which is, well, actually, I'm not in Duncan, really. I'm in North Cowichan, and they've just sent us a letter saying we have to address all of our envelopes as North Cowichan from moving forward. So I guess I have to get used to saying North Cowichan. Maple Bay is actually where I'm from. Mother, how are you? All they had to do was to secure the border and pay their defense bill. That's right. Hello, Timberwolf. Cheers from Northern Ontario. And no, I've never lived in Ontario either. I've only lived in British Columbia, Alberta, a couple times in Alberta, Saskatchewan, and New Brunswick. I've been to every province except for Newfoundland. I'd like to go there. I'd like to also go to the north. I've been to the Northwest Territories, but just a little bit. And then I'd like to, actually, I've been trying to convince the family that we should go on a road trip to the Yukon someday. Maybe rent a trailer and whatnot. So hopefully we'll get up there. Where was I? Yes, I was an RCMP sergeant, and not an officer, not in a white shirt, but I was obviously a constable, then a corporal, then a sergeant. What do I feel about the RCMP these days? I think that they are, the rank and file are always pretty good. The usual members. Yes, we do. There's always some bad apples, of course, but when you get really high up the ladder and you're working in Ottawa, primarily the people working in Ottawa who are super high up the ladder, those are the people who I think are, well, they're under control of Parliament, and I don't have a lot of good things to say about them. So I'll save it for a video because, when I do say that. This is in response to Chicken. I think that it's disappointing. There is corruption, I think, at the higher levels, even though a lot of them probably don't even realize it because it's so institutionalized. It's actually surprising how people can miss the boat and not even realize that they're corrupted. And I've been saying it since even before I got in, because when I got in, I didn't realize that I had native DNA, and it's so small it doesn't really even count. But the goofy thing is, had I known, I would have gotten in 4 years earlier, which is totally corrupt if you think about it. Why should anybody get a preference in that? And also, I would have come back to BC and instead of going to Alberta, although I do like Alberta, and I might just move there again if they decide to separate, if I can convince my wife to do that. But been saying it for years that they've been institutionally corrupted, and I still believe that. I don't have a lot of good things to say about the institution itself anymore. I think that it has been really debased over the years because of what the government has done to it. All right, but enough of that. Let's go back and see what's been said, because we have about 5 more minutes before the news conference. Not really a news conference, I guess. It's just whatever this is, an address to Congress. You're thinking about moving to the Yukon if the Liberals get power again. That would be interesting. What I don't like about, one of the things that I find really odd about Canada is we can't carry a handgun in the woods. Now, I know a lot of people are going to freak out about that. Well, why would you want to carry a handgun in the woods? It's because you can get to it a lot quicker when you need to shoot a charging bear than you can get the rifle off of your back. But some people can. If you make more than 51% of your income, the reason why I say 51% is it says in the act that you have to make the majority of your income in the wilderness and not be convenient for you to carry a rifle. So yeah, and now you can't even buy a handgun anymore, which is completely stupid. But I think that if Alberta maybe tries to separate, I might just go there and help them. I don't know. Langton Industries. Are you on the island by any chance? Are you near Duncan? Langton Industries. I think because I bought a gun from a company a while back, like several years ago, that I thought went by that name, and I think it was somewhere around Duncan. I haven't looked it up since I've been here, but yeah. James, how you doing? I've said hello to everybody here. Suzanne. Yeah. It's about to get going. It's about 2 minutes. The countdown is on 2 minutes and 10 seconds that before the C-SPAN live stream happens. So we'll see what happens. So Jimmy, you're in Port Alberni. That is a little bit of a drive for me, but it's not too bad. Stopped by Port Alberni a couple times on my way out to Tofino. Took the kids surfing out there in Tofino. Hello, Dirk. Hello, Jennifer. How you doing? 2 more minutes, or 1.5 minutes, and then we'll start. Hopefully we'll get to see what Orange Man Bad has to say. I actually don't think he's Orange Man Bad. I'm not particularly fond of him, but I'm not against him either. I don't have Trump derangement syndrome. I do think he's been good for the U.S., bad for Canada, but he's not our prime minister. He might end up being good for Canada, though, in the end, if we can get all this stuff sorted out. So, Dirk, you're in Victoria. How you doing? That's great. You're not that far from me. Less than a minute to go, and then we'll see if he's got anything to say about Canada. I suspect it's going to be very much, a Ukraine update and a Gaza update. But again, I don't know exactly what he's planning on talking about. I tried to watch a couple of videos today, the claiming, or they kind of hinted that they were going to reveal a little bit of what he had to say tonight, but they didn't really. Hello, Chad. Hello, Dennis. Hello, David. You called your MP today. Good. So you told them they sounded a lot like the Liberal Party. He told me he hates what Trump is doing. Here's the thing: is I don't. I'm kind of going in waves on how I feel about what Trump is doing. I think that he's got a lot of, I do believe that he's good for the U.S. I do believe that he could be good for Canada, actually, if the Canadian government smartens up. But I think that if we're lucky enough to get Pierre Poilievre in, then instead of Mark's Carnage Carney, and no, I did not say Mark, I said Marks. Hello, James. Hopefully we'll get some decent policies and some decent cooperation with out of the United States. Now, we do have a lot of tariffs on them that were kind of exempt from CUSMA or USMCA, however you want to put it. I don't know why we have two different names for it. But we do have a lot of tariffs on them, and I think he is kind of concerned about that. It's surprising how much the dairy cabal has on that. Why am I stalled here? Why am I stalled? Why is this not going? The timer on my... Okay, there it is. There it is.
Departing shortly.
Okay.
16-block drive to the Capitol down Pennsylvania Avenue.
Here we go.
White House Press Secretary Caroline Leavitt gave a preview of his speech earlier today, calling it a renewal of the American dream. We'll talk more about the message of tonight's address and the guests the president is bringing with him with the two journalists who will be with us in studio tonight. Now back on Capitol Hill, arrivals for tonight's address already underway as the more than 500 elected lawmakers and their guests make their way to the House chamber. We'll soon see senators gather to make their way over to the House, and the arrival of cabinet secretaries, Supreme Court justices, and many other dignitaries. And right outside the House chamber is Statuary Hall, where dozens of journalists are...
I was kind of hoping that they would just start the live stream when he was already in there. I don't need to see people arriving.
Platforms. Well, joining us from Capitol Hill is Dave Clark with Punchbowl News. Mr. Clark, all day long today, there were a lot of press conferences with some pre-speech positioning by both parties, yes?
There certainly were. I mean, obviously the White House previews its message that the president's going to deliver tonight, and Democrats are giving a little bit of a taste of how they're going to counter-program the event. And I think what we're going to hear from the president tonight is kind of twofold.
Is that better,
Tracy? He's going
Tracy?
to try to explain what he's done during these first 6 weeks of his administration, which have been a bit of a whirlwind. He's going to be trying to kind of put together all these executive orders that he's put out and tell a story about those. And then he's going to kind of look forward and say what else he wants to do. He's going to probably make a push for more border security funding from Congress. He's going to talk about likely his trade wars or the tariffs he's ratcheting up on some of our allies and adversaries. And I think when it comes to summing up what he's done so far, he's going to try to kind of make sense of all these executive orders he's done. He's going to talk about his effort to shrink the government through Doge and Elon Musk. And I think he's also going to touch a lot on some of the culture war issues, whether that's orders that he's put out on transgender people or ending DEI programs in the government. Meanwhile, Democrats are going to talk about some of the same themes, but obviously with a different tack. They're going to be highlighting all the services that Americans might not be getting if the government's dismantled the way the president's trying to do that. They're going to be also focusing on some of the possible budget cuts to programs like Medicaid that Republicans are considering. So there definitely
I've got it cranked up as much as I can.
Jousting over what the agenda ahead should be.
So how would you describe the mood up there, Mr. Clark?
I mean, for Republicans, it's pretty jubilant, right? They control both chambers of Congress. They have President Trump in the White House, so they're riding pretty high. There's a little bit of nerves among some of them on the various moves President Trump has made. Some of the defense hawks are not very happy with the way things are going in Ukraine. We'll see how much the president talks about that tonight. But overall, Republicans are very, feel they're in a very good spot, despite little nerves here or there. And I think in the speech tonight, he's really going to be talking to those Republicans, but more importantly, his base of voters. I mean, he's really going to be trying to rile them up and sell a message to them. I don't think he's going to be trying to do a lot of converting tonight.
I think it might be C-SPAN,
really to the faithful.
is a little low on the volume.
Mr. Clark, March 14th is just around the corner, the end of government funding. Can you give us a status update on the budget talks?
Yeah, we're running up once again to a government funding deadline and warnings about a shutdown. Right now, what Republicans are doing is talking about passing what is known as a clean continuing resolution. So essentially, they're talking about just extending current funding through the end of this fiscal year, which is at the end of September. But that could be a real difficult task for them because they have a very tight majority in the House. And Democrats are really in no mood to help Republicans out here. So one big question is going to be, can Republicans pass that continuing resolution with just their own votes? And that's going to be very tough. And if they can't, are they going to be able to sway any Democrats to vote for that resolution? And if so, what are they going to have to give them to get their votes?
Dave Clark, Punchbowl News, we really appreciate your spending a few minutes with us. Where are you going to be during the speech?
Up in the gallery.
Have you gotten a transcript of it yet?
No, I've not gotten the transcript of it yet, and we have, as of my coming over here, we hadn't seen the excerpts yet, so they're keeping a tight hold on it so far.
Thanks for joining us from Capitol Hill. Well, here in our studio, Jasmine Wright is a reporter with Notice, News of the United States. Jason Dick is the editor-in-chief of Roll Call. Very quickly, what are you looking for tonight?
I'm really interested in the approach that Trump takes from the get-go. I mean, as Dave sort of alluded to, the expectation, I think, from a lot of people is that he's going to be speaking to his base. He feels that he has a mandate, or at least this is what he and his allies tell people, is that he has a mandate, and there is no at this point advantage to them looking like they need to reach out to Democrats or even to wavering Republicans. So, I mean, sometimes these speeches can be conciliatory, or they can be, let's talk about how great things are. I think Trump is, going to step on the gas, and he's going to kind of come out aggressive.
Jasmine Wright, same question.
I'm looking at his tone. I was talking to a source familiar with the speech preparations, and they said it's not going to be flowery language. They said that it's going to be impassioned. It's something that he has been deeply involved in, that he's kind of been editing up until the last moments, and that it's going to reflect, I think, the shift that you've seen in the White House, certainly since at least last year. I mean, since last week after that Zelensky meeting, really feud, yelling match in the Oval Office of him doubling down and his administration doubling down on this idea that they are projecting American strength. So I'm looking to see if the tone reflects what we've seen from them over the last 4 days, which is kind of a doubling down of this, projection that they're making.
Well, we will be back with Jasmine and Jason in just a minute, but as always, our co-host this evening, Greta Bronner. Hi, Greta.
Hey, Peter, as you were talking about, lawmakers and the president get to invite guests in the House chamber for this address to Congress. Topping the list is a name that many people have heard repeatedly over the first 40 days of this administration, and that's Elon Musk. Billy House, who reports for Bloomberg News, putting on X today that Speaker Mike Johnson wanted Musk to be on the House floor tonight and made inquiries about his access as a non-official government officer or employee, but the speaker telling Billy Johnson that Musk will be seated, in fact, in the gallery above the floor with the First Lady. Now, in the box with the First Lady will be around 11 guests, and you'll hear the president introduce each of them in his speech tonight. Here's an idea of the people and the themes that they reflect and why they were invited to sit with the First Lady tonight. As we said, Elon Musk, the president expected to highlight the work of the Department of Government Efficiency, DOGE. Allison and Lauren Phillips, this is the mother and sister of Laken Riley. Laken Riley, the 22-year-old Augusta University nursing student who was murdered by undocumented immigrants. Alexis Nunnengray, also a mother of a 12-year-old killed by undocumented immigrants. So that will be a theme tonight with those guests and others. And then Peyton McNabb, a volleyball player who allegedly had a concussion while playing against a transgender competitor. And then January Littlejohn, who is an anti-transgender parents' rights activist. Those are some of the names and the folks that will be in the box tonight with the First Lady. As for Democrats tonight, this is ABC's headline. Some Democrats are planning to skip the joint address to Congress. The list seems to be growing as the day goes on. Representative Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez, Senator Chris Murphy, Senator Patty Murphy, Senator Martin Heinrich, and others all planning to skip tonight's joint address. And then there was this reporting from Axios earlier today that Democrats are also split on how to respond, those Democrats that are going to be in the chamber. Some members may walk out of the chamber when they hear something that they don't agree with. You may see props like signs or noisemakers that Democrats have in the chamber with them tonight. Some have talked about a pocket constitution that they may wave. You'll also see members wearing ties and scarves with the colors of Ukraine's flag. Women and female members of the Congressional Black Caucus have talked about wearing black to mark a somber mood. And then the Democratic Women's Caucus, they're planning to wear pink in defiance. Now, what does that look like? Take a look at this from X earlier today. This is Representative Norma Torres putting out a picture of her and other members of the Women's Democratic Caucus wearing pink, and that is what they will be wearing in the chamber. And she said it's because we're powerful, passionate, and PO'd. Pink isn't just a color, it's a symbol of protest, a symbol of women's power and persistence. The truth is, women can't afford Trump. And then there's also this reporting from The Hill. The House Freedom Caucus has sent a warning statement ahead of Trump's speech, threatening to formally censure any Democrats who disrupt the joint address tonight. Jerry Connolly, a Virginia Democrat, responded to that from the Freedom Caucus, that warning, with just this picture. This is Marjorie Taylor Greene yelling at President Biden during his State of the Union address last year. Peter?
Jason, Dick, you've been covering these types of speeches and States of the Union for a long time. Have they always been a bit unruly, or has the arc changed?
I think that there has been a marked change since Trump's first term that has carried over into the Biden years. And as Greta was talking about, we could expect at least something that will be kind of dramatic. And I feel like there have always been moments where we can point to. I mean, there was a joint address that President Barack Obama delivered where he was talking about health care, and Joe Wilson, a South Carolina Republican, yelled out, "You lie." I mean, that was obviously a moment that sort of lives in the history, but that was kind of the exception to a lot of the rules that we've seen. I mean, it's been amped up a little bit in the last 10 years.
But I would argue that some of the best moments of these joint addresses, which sometimes people feel can run far too long, obviously they start on the East Coast a little bit late, and sometimes people believe that they are maybe a little bit too monotone. So some of the more lively moments happen through these interruptions, through a president like Joe Biden last year, kind of going back and forth with the Republicans when he was talking about several various things. I think that those moments really liven up something that at times can be a bit stale or a bit dry, or feel like, once it's getting into the 90 minutes or the 100 minutes, that it's just gone on too long.
And that speech you brought up,
I hope it doesn't go 100 minutes.
Just a year ago, and it was a highly lauded speech that he gave.
Yeah, and I think what was interesting about that moment was, there were some discussions about his age already in the zeitgeist. We already had Dean Phillips basically come in, run, and say that somebody needs to have this conversation, that Joe Biden should no longer. And so there was some questions about whether or not he could do it in an election year, that type of speech, that type of format. Obviously, Joe Biden is not necessarily known to be the best orator out of all the presidents. And so there were some questions about whether or not he could do that. And he actually got rave reviews from that one because of the way that he was able to take the incoming from Republicans, because of the way that he was able to kind of go back and have this levity of banter, basically saying, like, I'm telling you the truth, guys, I'm telling you the truth, and kind of those market Joe Bidenisms. So I'm curious to see how Trump does today. He is not one to shy away from banter, quite quite frankly. I think he likes kind of the back and forth, not necessarily confrontation, but certainly the give and take of arguing with somebody who maybe doesn't see his viewpoints or slapping somebody down. So I'm curious to see how devoted Trump is to the text that he wants to say versus being in the moment in those intimate settings.
And if you go to notice.org, newsoftheunitedstates.org, you'll see Jasmine Wright. She has the lead story. Here it is. Trump's first joint address of term 2 won't be anything like the last time. Is that what you meant when you talked about tone? Tone.
I went back and watched his 2017. Obviously, that was his first time in office. And what somebody told me at the time, who was a part of the White House, was that they were really intent on it being Trump's reintroduction to America. They knew him as the apprentice Donald Trump. They knew him as the campaigner Donald Trump, but they didn't know him as president. And so when you go back and listen to that speech, his tone is really different than I think what you will hear tonight. It was softer. It was more unifier. It was trying to show the American people that he can be presidential. And it was also trying to tell both Republicans and Democrats, let's put away the trivial fights and let's work together on his agenda. Now, I think if you go back and look at his first term, really only legislatively what he got done was tax cuts. He wants that to be much different this time. And I think you also see a Donald Trump who's really not going to take a lot of crap from people. He is the president of a country where his party has the House, the Senate. You could argue that he has a more favorable Supreme Court for some of the things that he wants to get done. And so he's really going to come in there, I believe, and kind of put the marker down and say, this is my party, this is my country, give me what I want. And if you do not get on board, you will get left.
And I think it's important to note, too, that this Congress, the majority of them have been elected since Trump was elected. Mm-hmm. So this is what they know. This is the world. This is the tone. This is the way that they see that you do things. So some of the folks who perhaps wanted a more sedate, boring approach to the State of the Union or things like that, they're gone. They're retired or they lost elections. And so this is, in a way, he's shaped not just the Republican Party, but also the Democratic Party, mm-hmm. because Democrats have been in the opposition, the minority and the majority, but it's always in relation to Trump. Totally. Trump, even when he was out of office, he still dominated the conversation, even through Joe Biden's 4 years.
And Jason, Dick, just to pick up on what Jasmine was saying, the lead story in your publication, Roll Call, hints from Trump's first term addresses. Do you agree that the tone could be a little bit different tonight?
Oh, absolutely. And you saw the tone shift just in his first four addresses. I mean, you did see this conciliatory, mm-hmm. I'm gonna run the country. I'm gonna run all the country. I'm gonna reach out to Democrats. We're gonna get a lot of stuff done. We're gonna cut taxes. And at the end of in his last State of the Union, you had Nancy Pelosi ripping up her copy of the speech behind him, and he didn't shake her hand. So I think that we're going to see more like that last speech than we are the first speech, even though there are no Democrats who are going to be behind him.
And this address to the joint session should begin in a little bit under an hour. Coming up in the next 10, 15 minutes or so,
an hour?
You'll see the President and Mrs. Trump depart the White House. You'll see the lights come up in the House chamber, and you'll see the members milling about. Of course, we will go to that as soon as that's available. You'll see the Supreme Court. You'll see the Joint Chiefs. You'll see the Diplomatic Corps all coming in, and the President's Cabinet as well, all coming into the chamber. Of course, that's all going to be live on C-SPAN and on C-SPAN 2. So you can watch it there as well, or on our online platforms. This is called a joint session. Mm-hmm. Is that different than a State of the Union? Is it technically different, or just in tone?
I think it's technically different. I mean, they have two different titles. The pomp and circumstance is kind of minutially different, but I think you'll see it kind of amped up when he gets to the State of the Union next year. But certainly the effect is the same. It is a president, his first month or so, first 5 weeks in office, laying out what they have already done and what they want to do. And we know that Trump has come into office after 4 years of basically kind of being in, DC exile in West Palm. Obviously, the people that make up his cabinet, the people that make up his White House, some of his most trusted advisors, spent 4 years in some of these right-aligned think tanks, figuring out what Trump's platform should be, should he, once he gets back into office. And so they're kind of moving on that. But I think what you saw for the first 5 weeks in his administration was executive power. Him issuing over 75 executive orders, him basically pushing, I think, what a lot of people believe are the limits to those executive orders. And now I think you're going to see Trump really try to turn onto that legislative power, making it very clear what he wants Congress to do when in office. And so that is what we expect from a joint address of Congress, joint address to Congress from a president, really laying out how they want that first year to go, but then all the years after that.
Jason, Dick, that speech that President Biden gave last year, that let's use that as our lodestar, that did make a difference, last year's speech. Do these generally make a difference?
They certainly can. As you know, with Biden, I mean, and I think that I would argue that in 2017, Trump set the table for what he would eventually get, with the tax cuts, with that first year. So, I mean, I
think they're going to go to Fox News. I think they have a better
to emphasize.
They're going to have
it's obvious
a better
that,
presentation.
Just by the guests that they do want to emphasize issues that are important to their base. That can be.
Well, moving at the speed of Trump, it has only been 44 days, but the president will have a lot to talk about tonight when he heads up to Capitol Hill.
Let's go to Fox Live now. I think they're streaming it. And that should give us a better than the C-SPAN. Let's take a look here.
To the implementation of tariffs earlier today. And let's not forget the havoc this agenda is having.
How's the volume on that?
We saw
I think it's a little
two
louder.
consecutive days of major losses posted across all of the big three indexes here in the United States. We do know that Donald Trump, unlike other presidents, pays close attention to the stock market as one of his major economic temperature checks or barometers, if you will. So I wouldn't be surprised to see some amendments on those 25% tariffs later this week, if possible.
The Wall Street Journal has it to what you were referring to, that Commerce Secretary Lutnick said President Trump will meet in the middle with Mexico and Canada after 25% tariffs on America's continental neighbors went into effect on Tuesday there. And so we'll just have to wait and see, because there are
iPad and see if it's any good.
Congressional Republicans, no doubt, who are a little wary about this, who are a little wary about whether or not the tariffs will be inherently inflationary. But you have some in the Trump White House, right, Christian, saying any effects will be in the short term. And so they want to see the long game with these tariffs here. Let's talk about another topic here. A lot of the special guests from some of these Democratic members of the House and Senate, Christian, are some of these federal workers who no longer have a job via some of these DOGE cuts. Does President Trump need to explain what DOGE is up to in this speech tonight?
I think he definitely does, Andrew, because we've seen a number of these guests include combat veterans who worked for the federal government for varying periods of time, and they were wrapped up in those initial cuts that the Trump administration has laid out in these first early weeks. A lot of them, I would have to imagine, voted for President Trump, either in this election or perhaps in past elections. And so, look, I think the realization that just because you supported one president and that president is making it his first and foremost mission to cut as many jobs as possible.
Of the decorum and just the pageantry around these kind of speeches, but we'll take you right there inside of the House chamber.
Thank you guys so much for streaming in wherever you're watching. Specifically, which device are you watching? Are you watching on a TV, a flat screen? Are you watching on an iPad, a Microsoft Surface, your phone?
So are these guys any good?
Your iPhone? Who knows? Maybe put that in the chat as well so we can just take a look. I just was curious to see where you're watching from and how you're watching, just in general, because at the end of the day, it's great that we are able to be seen in very many devices and also streaming all over the place.
Yes, it's all about the information age and getting that right side of history out to you, the American people, and for you to view it so you can make up your own minds.
Exactly. So, again, I'm Matthew Alvarez alongside Robert McNeely. You're seeing a few flashing lights around the U.S. Capitol building. Of course, a number of dignitaries there tonight. Of course, President Trump himself, the vice president, and on. I mean, the cabinet is going to be there. The Supreme Court, I believe, will be there as well. I mean, usually for a State of the Union, the Supreme Court will be there. Possibly a joint session, they may be there tonight as well. So looking forward to seeing this live coverage. Thank you again for streaming in.
Let's just take a poll. What do you like to see?
A video from the
Fox
Trump
Live or these
that's
guys?
on X here just a second. And yeah, getting ready for this 9 o'clock speech. Again, President Trump focusing in on everyday Americans today. So the speech is going to be also talking a lot about the accomplishments that we've seen with President Trump over the past 43 days. Why don't we take this in full, Director, if that works for you, and we can listen in on this video.
2025. You won't want to miss this. Join us for a night that will define our future. It's more than just words. It's action. President Donald J. Trump. Tonight. Tonight, history is made. The joint address to Congress.
Just moments ago, and just a shout out to everybody working behind the scenes here at Right Side Broadcasting Network, because we, you know, sometimes live, fluid moment, you got to just roll with it, and here we are doing that, and it's great to see that we're about to take you live to this great moment there in the House chamber.
Yes, it's an exciting time, and there looks like President Trump is departing for the Capitol building from the White House, and of course that is through the diplomatic room, where you might have witnessed the gentleman who was detained in Russia coming back with Steve Witkoff, and a wonderful moment when that happened just a couple of weeks ago.
Exactly. So Mark Fogel, an American history teacher who was recently freed by the Trump administration after being held in a Russian prison. His mother, Malphine, is also slated to join him at the event tonight. So Mark Fogel will actually be part of that everyday American thing there, where President Trump will be highlighting a number of great people, especially Mark, back here in the States. We're also hearing that Roberto Ortiz, a U.S. Border Patrol agent and veteran of the California State Guard and United States Navy, will be there as well. So we're looking forward to seeing just various things tonight when it comes to we the people. You know, back at the RNC, remember, he highlighted, and the team highlighted, everyday Americans. He's doing that again tonight.
Now, and that's also the favorite part of the speech for me. Year in and year out, whether it's the joint session of Congress or a State of the Union, the American people, so heroic, so extraordinary. And one thing that really sticks out for me, a few years prior in 2019, when Rush Limbaugh was awarded the Medal of Freedom, and the shock on his face of true just joy that he received that from the president, and First Lady Melania Trump put that around his neck, because people like Rush Limbaugh, we wouldn't be sitting here right now if it wasn't for his trailblazing, if it wasn't for, he was the new media back on radio, and I loved his show just growing up and talking about how he was, you know, the lightning and the thunder, and he would be ready to go in and fight for American principles that have inspired this movement. So that was a remarkable moment. I look forward to more tonight.
Definitely. Rush Limbaugh, obviously a legend in conservative broadcasting, and many of us take our notes from his great work that he's done over the years. As we're looking live there at the White House, why don't we do this? Let's take a live listen in to Washington, D.C. right now and see if there's anything going on there when it comes to just the sights and sounds. Director, do you think... Well, that was quite awesome seeing President Trump and First Lady Melania Trump departing the White House on the way to Capitol Hill. Not too far of a drive, as it's go time for this great speech tonight. Looking forward to it, Robert.
Yes, and ABC News just reporting there is a designated survivor. If you're not familiar with this process, whenever the entire government comes together, which is usually once a year, either at this joint session of Congress or a State of the Union, there is one designated person. God forbid anything did happen in that building that would be cataclysmic. And of course, we do not wish that, but this has been done ever since the dawn of the Republic. And Matthew, I believe you had that congressman who has been designated pulled up by your phone, reported by ABC News.
Yes, that's United States Representative Mike Thompson. That is the designated survivor. So that just reported right there live on Right Side Broadcasting Network. It's 8:32 p.m. Thanks so much for streaming in. Let's go to one of our sponsors here at the network. As you've seen, we haven't gone to an actual commercial break where, it's just commercials. This is a little bit of that right now with Colonial Metals Group, but also a great sponsor at the network. FreeGoldGuide.com gets you this info kit in the mail. And it's all about a tax-sheltered IRA, 401k, all backed in gold and silver. And we know gold and silver, always high value, making me think about Fort Knox. We'll talk about that in just a second.
Right, I'm looking forward to that tour, as you saw Elon Musk stepping out just before President Donald Trump and Mrs. Trump getting into the presidential beast, the limousine there on their way to the Capitol building. But freegoldguide.com/RSBN, a great way to learn how to be the best hedge against inflation, and that's with gold and silver. So make sure you scan that QR code now and learn how to look at your options for you and your family.
Awesome. Let's go to freetrumpbook.com as well. Mike Huckabee, of course, the former governor of Arkansas, is now the U.S. ambassador to Israel, but he also has a show, he also has books, he also wrote this with a number of staff. The guy is busy. So freetrumpbook.com, a number of great titles and books there. So it's not just the one there, The Kid's Guide to President Trump. There are many titles there. So just go to freetrumpbook.com. And there is a small, shipping and handling fee, but outside of that, the actual books are free. So freetrumpbook.com, 8:34 p.m. And it looks like we are seeing a number of states that actually chimed in. For all of you guys watching all over the place, holy smokes, here we go. Louisiana, North Carolina, shout out to Wisconsin, Ohio, Pennsylvania, Michigan, California, Florida, Tennessee, Toledo, Ohio, Northwest Washington State. Also, we're seeing somebody from Marseille in France, in Illinois, all over the place watching right now. We're seeing Tasmania, Australia. Those of you guys watching in our country and around the world, we love you because we love the free world. So anybody that, even in countries that don't have freedom, right? We have these people that are not pro-freedom. The people of the world want freedom. You think about it, no matter where you're at. That's usually 9 times out of 10 what people want.
It really is. And that's why we stand firmly with the Ukrainian people. We stand with the Russian people who are run by a bunch of thugs. And that's Ambassador Sands so articulately and eloquently explained earlier in the broadcast tonight that we love these cultures, we love these people, and we will stand up for them. And the best way to do that right now is to call for peace. And I'm excited to get all those Ukrainian minerals that we deserve because we've given billions to the country, and those javelins that President Trump sent over there in his first term, they could not withstand the Russian army without that protection. So it's time to end this war. It's time to bring peace and prosperity to the world. And we've already seen that really unfold over the course of 43 days with President Trump at the helm.
Exactly. So what a great 43 days this has been. It's been historic speed and strength. It's a common sense president, someone that is the people's president, and an outsider. I think that's the thing that everybody would agree on, most would agree on, is it's good to have someone that is doing it for the right reasons. Because if President Trump wasn't in it for the right reasons, the past 4 years, he would have exit stage left and stage right. He said, I'm out of here. But those 4 years that he went through for us, for we the people of this land, that's why you can hear the chants of USA echoing throughout the country tonight. That's why we cover what we cover here at Right Side Broadcasting Network. Also, a shout out to those of you in Ontario, Canada watching. Illinois, Southern California, Maryland, Minnesota, and on Missouri. Everybody out there, we love you. That's simple as that. You might not hear that on mainstream media because we're not mainstream media.
We're in this together. And, something I think back on President Trump in his first term speaking to the Air Force Academy graduates, and he said, relish being the outsider and the ability to change the world. And you could do that, one step at a time. We saw this from that last election. The Trump Force captains did just that, reaching out to 10 to 15 of their neighbors in their precinct, down the hall, whether it be at church, whether it be at their place of work and place of worship, the gym perhaps, wherever it was. You made that difference, one phone call and one door knock at a time, to change this country peacefully and patriotically. And you fulfilled what the founders truly envisioned when they created this wonderful country back in 1776.
Exactly. So we voted, we prayed, we worked hard, and here we are victorious. However, we still have years to go where we want to continue making America great again, make America healthy again, making our military strong again. And also, speaking of the military, President Trump said he wants such a strong military that we don't even have to use it. That's what he said at the Commander-in-Chief Ball on Inauguration Night. So we know that he's someone that stands behind peace through strength. He didn't start any new wars in the first administration. He's not trying to start any now. He's actually trying to have peace throughout the world.
Oh, yes, and it's an admirable goal because, even RFK's uncle, JFK, would talk about this. It's actually harder, the struggle for peace, the struggle for diplomatic relations. It's easy to point a weapon at someone and fire. It's much harder to sit down with them and seek to understand. And President Trump has a real skill for that. And we've seen it on display now for many, many years. Someone who really could pull the trigger, but only when it's necessary, and has done that against the worst of the worst, whether that's ISIS, Iranian generals, or those seeking to do harm ultimately. But he wants peace first and foremost, and we'll sit down and talk to anyone necessary to get that done.
Exactly. And also think about all the great moves with the cabinet members. Marco Rubio, the Secretary of State, traveling to Panama for the Panama Canal situation to get that back into our hands. And a shout out to those of you watching in Panama, because we got that list here, and one of them was for Panama. But it's great to see so many sections of our government now saying, you know what, corruption, y'all can get out of here. It's time for freedom. It's time for the Constitution. It's time for our love for God to be allowed here without any kind of persecution. We do know, of course, in the Bible, there's various things about that. But let's go to Washington, D.C. right now.
I bet you do. What's up? Good to see you. How are you? How you doing? You having fun yet? The freshman class here. What's up, man? How you doing? Doing well. Good, good. I saw your wife the other day. She was in the White House. Great job. Good. Keep it fun. Thanks, man. I appreciate it, man. Good to see you. I'm going this way. Okay, yeah. Sorry, I'll just sit over here. That's fun, man. How are you? Good to see you. Good luck tonight. This will be awesome. Appreciate it so much, President. Hey, it's so good to see you. Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. So, how about you? I'm having a good time. I have an easier job. How's your wife? No doubt. She's having fun. She's a champion. Good, yeah. Good. All right, absolutely. Let's do that. They're going to take me the other way. Stand here by me. All right. I'll keep you company. We're in the right spot. I think actually that's the only thing. I think it probably got people out of the front.
Looks like the Commandant of the Marine Corps is there.
Well, we could have coordinated, I guess, but man, this is, I gotta be honest with you, this is
I wonder if he knows his mic is on.
It's going to be great, but I don't know how you do this for 90 minutes. The hardest thing was doing it during Biden, when the speech was a stupid campaign speech. And I just let you go down.
How many of these do they do in a year? I know that there's at least one, and then there's the State of the Nation. But how many of these do they actually do a year?
The joint session will come to order. The chair appoints as members of the committee on the part of the House to escort the President of the United States into the chamber the following: the gentleman from Louisiana, Mr. Scalise; the gentleman from Minnesota, Mr. Emmer; the gentlewoman from Michigan, Mrs. McClain; the gentleman from North Carolina, Mr. Hudson; the gentleman from Pennsylvania, Mr. Reschenthaler; the gentleman from Utah, Mr. Moore; the gentlewoman from Indiana, Mrs. Houchin; the gentleman from Oklahoma, Mr. Hearn; the gentleman from New York, Mr. Jeffries; the gentlewoman from Massachusetts, Ms. Clark; the gentleman from California, Mr. Aguilar; the gentleman from California, Mr. Liu; the gentleman from Colorado, Mr. Neguse; the gentlewoman from Washington, Ms. Delbene; the gentlewoman from Michigan, Mrs. Dingell.
The President of the Senate, at the direction of that body, appoints the following senators as members of the committee on the part of the Senate to escort the President of the United States into the House chamber: the Senator from South Dakota, Mr. Thune; the Senator from Wyoming, Mr. Barrasso; the Senator from Arkansas, Mr. Cotton; the Senator from Oklahoma, Mr. Lankford; the Senator from West Virginia, Mrs. Capito; the Senator from South Carolina, Mr. Scott; the Senator from New York, Mr. Schumer; the Senator from Illinois, Mr. Durbin; the Senator from Minnesota, Ms. Klobuchar; the Senator from New Jersey, Mr. Booker; the Senator from Wisconsin, Ms. Baldwin.
The members of the escort committee will exit the chamber through the lobby doors.
Mr. Speaker, the Dean of the Diplomatic Corps.
Mr. Speaker, Jonathan Jackson. My wife loves this gray suit. I hate it, but I wear it because she'll send me on TV. I'm a blazer, man.
Mr. Speaker, the Chief Justice and Associate Justices of the United States Supreme Court.
That's great.
Speaker, the President's Cabinet.
That's true. I should have done better. I should have done way better.
Secretary, can't wait to connect with you. We have so much more in this stuff. Yes.
Mr. Speaker, the President of the United States.
Notice how the Democrats aren't clapping? Hey, Chad, who's the guy that always walks the president in? It's the same guy that walked Biden in. Is he like the sergeant at arms or something? Will he even bother with the book? He likes to wing it.
you. Thank you very much. Thank you very much. It's a great honor. Thank you very much. Speaker Johnson, Vice President Vance, the First Lady of the United States, members of the United States Congress, thank you very much. And to my fellow citizens, America is back. 6 weeks ago, I stood beneath the dome of this Capitol and proclaimed the dawn of the golden age of America. From that moment on, it has been nothing but swift and unrelenting action to usher in the greatest and most successful era in the history of our country. We have accomplished more in 43 days than most administrations accomplished in 4 years or 8 years, and we are just getting started. I return to this chamber tonight to report that America's momentum is back, our spirit is back, our pride is back, our confidence is back, and the American dream is surging bigger and better than ever before. The American dream is unstoppable, and our country is on the verge of a comeback, the likes of which the world has never witnessed and perhaps will never witness again. There's never been anything like it. The presidential election of November 5th was a mandate like has not been seen in many decades. We won all 7 swing states, giving us an electoral college victory of 312 votes. We won the popular vote by big numbers and won counties in our country. And won counties in our country, 2,700 to 525, on a map that reads almost completely red for Republican. Now, for the first time in modern history, more Americans believe that our country is headed in the right direction than the wrong direction. In fact, it's an astonishing record, 27-point swing, the most ever. Likewise, Small business optimism saw its single largest one-month gain ever recorded, a 41-point jump.
Members are directed to uphold and maintain decorum in the House and to cease any further disruptions. That's your warning. Members are engaging in willful and continuing breach of decorum, and the chair is prepared to direct the Sergeant-at-Arms to restore order to the joint session. Mr. Green, take your seat. Take your seat, sir. Take your seat. Finding that members continue to engage in willful and concerted disruption of proper decorum, the chair now directs the Sergeant-at-Arms to restore order. Remove this gentleman from the chamber. Members are directed to uphold and maintain decorum in the House. Mr. President, you continue.
Thank you. Over the past 6 weeks, I have signed nearly 100 executive orders and taken more than 400 executive actions, a record to restore common sense, safety, optimism, and wealth all across our wonderful land. The people elected me to do the job, and I'm doing it. In fact, it has been stated by many that the first month of our presidency, it's our presidency, is the most successful in the history of our nation. By many. And what makes it even more impressive is that, do you know who number 2 is? George Washington. How about that? How about that? I don't know about that list, but we'll take it. Within hours of taking the oath of office, I declared a national emergency on our southern border, and I deployed the U.S. military and Border Patrol to repel the invasion of our country. And what a job they've done. As a result, illegal border crossings last month were by far the lowest ever recorded, ever. They heard my words and they chose not to come. Much easier that way. In comparison, under Joe Biden, the worst president in American history, there were hundreds of thousands of illegal crossings a month, and virtually all of them, including murderers, drug dealers, gang members, and people from mental institutions and insane asylums, were released into our country. Who would want to do that? This is my 5th such speech to Congress. And once again, I look at the Democrats in front of me, and I realize there is absolutely nothing I can say to make them happy or to make them stand or smile or applaud. Nothing I can do. I could find a cure to the most devastating disease, a disease that would wipe out entire nations, or announce the answers to the greatest economy in history or the stoppage of crime to the lowest levels ever recorded. And these people sitting right here will not clap, will not stand, and certainly will not cheer for these astronomical achievements. They won't do it, no matter what. Five times I've been up here. It's very sad, and it just shouldn't be this way. So Democrats sitting before me, for just this one night, why not join us in celebrating so many incredible wins for America? For the good of our nation, let's work together and let's truly make America great again. Every day, my administration is fighting to deliver the change America needs to bring a future that America deserves, and we're doing it. This is a time for big dreams and bold action. Upon taking office, I imposed an immediate freeze on all federal hiring, a freeze on all new federal regulations, and a freeze on all foreign aid. I terminated the ridiculous Green New Scam. I withdrew from the unfair Paris Climate Accord, which was costing us trillions of dollars that other countries were not paying. I withdrew from the corrupt World Health Organization. And I also withdrew from the anti-American UN Human Rights Council. We ended all of Biden's environmental restrictions that were making our country far less safe and totally unaffordable. And importantly, we ended the last administration's insane electric vehicle mandate, saving our auto workers and companies from economic destruction. To unshackle our economy, I have directed that for every one new regulation, 10 old regulations must be eliminated, just like I did in my very successful first day. And in that first term, we set records on ending unnecessary rules and regulations like no other president had done before. We ordered all federal workers to return to the office. They will either show up for work in person or be removed from their job. And we have ended weaponized government where, as an example, a sitting president is allowed to viciously prosecute his political opponent, like me. How did that work out? Not too good. Not too good. And I have stopped all government censorship and brought back free speech in America. It's back. And 2 days ago, I signed an order making English the official language of the United States of America. I renamed the Gulf of Mexico the Gulf of America. And likewise, I renamed, for a great president, William McKinley, Mount McKinley again. Beautiful Alaska. We love Alaska. We've ended the tyranny of so-called diversity, equity, and inclusion policies all across the entire federal government and indeed the private sector and our military. And our country will be woke no longer. We believe that whether you are a doctor, an accountant, a lawyer, or an air traffic controller, you should be hired and promoted based on skill and competence, not race or gender. Very important. You should be hired based on merit. And the Supreme Court, in a brave and very powerful decision, has allowed us to do so. Thank you. Thank you very much. Thank you. We have removed the poison of critical race theory from our public schools, and I signed an order making it the official policy of the United States government that there are only two genders, male and female. I also signed an executive order to ban men from playing in women's sports. Three years ago, Peyton McNabb was an all-star high school athlete, one of the best, preparing for a future in college sports. But when her girls' volleyball match was invaded by a male, he smashed the ball so hard in Peyton's face, causing traumatic brain injury, partially paralyzing her right side and ending her athletic career. It was a shot like she's never seen before. She's never seen anything like it. Peyton is here tonight in the gallery, and Peyton, from now on, schools will kick the men off the girls' team, or they will lose all federal funding. And if you really want to see numbers, just take a look at what happened in the women's boxing, weightlifting, track and field, swimming, or cycling, where a male recently finished a long-distance race 5 hours and 14 minutes ahead of a woman for a new record by 5 hours. Broke the record by 5 hours. It's demeaning for women, and it's very bad for our country. We're not going to put up with it any longer. What I have just described is only a small fraction of the common sense revolution that is now, because of us, sweeping the entire world. Common sense has become a common theme, and we will never go back. Never. Never going to let that happen. Among my very highest priorities is to rescue our economy and get dramatic and immediate relief to working families. As you know, we inherited from the last administration an economic catastrophe and an inflation nightmare. Their policies drove up energy prices, pushed up grocery costs, and drove the necessities of life out of reach for millions and millions of Americans. They've never had anything like it. We suffered the worst inflation in 48 years, but perhaps even in the history of our country. They're not sure. As president, I'm fighting every day to reverse this damage and make America affordable again. Joe Biden especially let the price of eggs get out of control. The egg price is out of control. And we're working hard to get it back down. Secretary, do a good job on that. You inherited a total mess from the previous administration. Do a good job. A major focus of our fight to defeat inflation is rapidly reducing the cost of energy. The previous administration cut the number of new oil and gas leases by 95%, slowed pipeline construction to a halt, and closed more than 100 power plants. We are opening up many of those power plants right now. And frankly, we have never seen anything like it. That's why on my first day in office, I declared a national energy emergency. As you've heard me say many times, we have more liquid gold under our feet than any nation on earth, and by far. And now I fully authorize the most talented team ever assembled to go and get it. It's called Drill, Baby, Drill. My administration is also working on a gigantic natural gas pipeline in Alaska, among the largest in the world, where Japan, South Korea, and other nations want to be our partner with investments of trillions of dollars each. There's never been anything like that one. It will be truly spectacular. It's all set to go. The permitting is gotten. And later this week, I will also take historic action to dramatically expand production of critical minerals and rare earths here in the USA. To further combat inflation, we will not only be reducing the cost of energy, but will be ending the flagrant waste of taxpayer dollars. And to that end, I have created the brand new Department of Government Efficiency, DOGE. Perhaps you've heard of it. Perhaps. Which is headed by Elon Musk, who is in the gallery tonight. Thank you, Elon. He's working very hard. He didn't need this. He didn't need this. Thank you very much. We appreciate it. Everybody here, even this side, appreciates it, I believe. They just don't want to admit that. Just listen to some of the appalling waste we have already identified. $22 billion from HHS to provide free housing and cars for illegal aliens. $45 million for diversity, equity, and inclusion scholarships in Burma. $40 million to improve the social and economic inclusion of sedentary migrants. Nobody knows what that is. $8 million to promote LGBTQI+ in the African nation of Lesotho, which nobody has ever heard of. $60 million for indigenous peoples and Afro-Colombian empowerment in Central America. $60 million. $8 million for making mice transgender. This is real. $32 million for a left-wing propaganda operation in Moldova. $10 million for male circumcision in Mozambique. $20 million for the Arab Sesame Street in the Middle East. It's a program. $20 million for a program. $1.9 billion to recently created Decarbonization of Homes Committee, headed up, and we know she's involved. Just at the last moment, the money was passed over by a woman named Stacey Abrams. Have you ever heard of her? A $3.5 million consulting contract for lavish fish monitoring. $1.5 million for voter confidence in Liberia. $14 million for social cohesion in Mali. $59 million for illegal alien hotel rooms in New York City. He's a real estate developer. He's done very well. $250,000 to increase vegan local climate action innovation in Zambia. $42 million for social and behavior change in Uganda. $14 million for improving public procurement in Serbia. $47 million for improving learning outcomes in Asia. Asia's doing very well with learning. You know what we're doing. We should use it ourselves. And $101 million for DEI contracts at the Department of Education. The most ever paid, nothing even like it. Under the Trump administration, all of these scams, and they're far worse, but I didn't think it was appropriate to talk about them. They're so bad. Many more have been found out and exposed and swiftly terminated by a group of very intelligent, mostly young people, headed up by Elon, and we appreciate it. We found hundreds of billions of dollars of fraud. And we've taken back the money and reduced our debt to fight inflation and other things. Taken back a lot of that money. We got it just in time. This is just the beginning. The Government Accountability Office, a federal government office, has estimated annual fraud of over $500 billion in our nation, and we are working very hard to stop it. We're going to. We're also identifying shocking levels of incompetence and probable fraud in the Social Security program for our seniors, and that our seniors and people that we love rely on. Believe it or not, government databases list 4.7 million Social Security members from people aged 100 to 109 years old. It lists 3.6 million people from ages 110 to 119. I don't know any of them. I know some people that are rather elderly, but not quite that elderly. 3.47 million people from ages 120 to 129. 3.9 million people from ages 130 to 139. 3.5 million people from ages 140 to 149. And money is being paid to many of them, and we're searching right now. In fact, Pam, good luck. Good luck. You're going to find it. But a lot of money is paid out to people because it just keeps getting paid and nobody does, and it really hurts Social Security and hurts our country. 1.3 million people from ages 150 to 159, and over 130,000 people, according to the Social Security databases, are age over 160 years old. We have a healthier country than I thought, Bobby. Including, to finish, 1,039 people between the ages of 220 and 229.
What?
One person between the age of 240 and 249. And one person is listed at 360 years of age. More than 100 years. More than 100 years older than our country. But we're going to find out where that money's going, and it's not going to be pretty. By slashing all of the fraud, waste, and theft we can find, we will defeat inflation, bring down mortgage rates, lower car payments and grocery prices, protect our seniors, and put more money in the pockets of American families. And today, interest rates took a beautiful drop, big, beautiful drop. It's about time. And in the near future, I want to do what has not been done in 24 years, balance the federal budget. We're going to balance it. With that goal in mind, we have developed in great detail what we are calling the Gold Card, which goes on sale very, very soon. For $5 million, we will allow the most successful job-creating people from all over the world to buy a path to U.S. citizenship. It's like the Green Card, but better and more sophisticated. And these people will have to pay tax in our country. They won't have to pay tax from where they came. The money that they've made, you wouldn't want to do that, but they have to pay tax, create jobs. They'll also be taking people out of colleges and paying for them so that we can keep them in our country instead of having them being forced out. Number one, at the top school, as an example, being forced out and not being allowed to stay and create tremendous numbers of jobs and great success for a company out there. So while we take out the criminals, killers, traffickers, and child predators who are allowed to enter our country under the open border policy of these people, the Democrats, the Biden administration, the open border insane policies that you've allowed to destroy our country, we will now bring in brilliant, hardworking, job-creating people. They're going to pay a lot of money, and we're going to reduce our debt with that money. Americans have given us a mandate for bold and profound change. For nearly 100 years, the federal bureaucracy has grown until it has crushed our freedoms, ballooned our deficits, and held back America's potential in every possible way. The nation founded by pioneers and risk-takers now drowns under millions and millions of pages of regulations and debt. Approvals that should take 10 days to get instead take 10 years, 15 years, and even 20 years before you're rejected. Meanwhile, we have hundreds of thousands of federal workers who have not been showing up to work. My administration will reclaim power from this unaccountable bureaucracy, and we will restore true democracy to America again. And any federal bureaucrat who resists this change will be removed from office immediately. Because we are draining the swamp. It's very simple. And the days of rule by unelected bureaucrats are over. And the next phase of our plan to deliver the greatest economy in history is for this Congress to pass tax cuts for everybody. They're in there. They're waiting for you to vote. And I'm sure that the people on my right, I don't mean the Republican right, but my right here, I'm sure you're going to vote for those tax cuts, because otherwise I don't believe the people will ever vote you into office. So I'm doing you a big favor by telling you that. But I know this group is going to be voting for the tax. Thank you. It's a very, very big part of our plan. We had tremendous success in our first term with it. A very big part of our plan. We're seeking permanent income tax cuts all across the board. And to get urgently needed relief to Americans hit especially hard by inflation, I'm calling for no tax on tips, no tax on overtime, and no tax on Social Security benefits for our great seniors. And I also want to make interest payments on car loans tax deductible, but only if the car is made in America. And by the way, we're going to have growth in the auto industry like nobody's ever seen. Plants are opening up all over the place. Deals are being made. Never seen. That's a combination of the election win and tariffs. It's a beautiful word, isn't it? That, along with our other policies, will allow our auto industry to absolutely boom. It's going to boom. Spoke to the majors today, all three, the top people, and they're so excited. In fact, already numerous car companies have announced that they will be building massive automobile plants in America, with Honda just announcing a new plant in Indiana, one of the largest anywhere in the world. And this has taken place since our great victory on November 5th, a date which will hopefully go down as one of the most important in the history of our country. In addition, as part of our tax cuts, we want to cut taxes on domestic production and all manufacturing. And just as we did before, we will provide 100% expensing. It will be retroactive to January 20th, 2025. And it was one of the main reasons why our tax cuts were so successful in our first term, giving us the most successful economy in the history of our country. First term. We had a great first term. If you don't make your product in America, however, under the Trump administration, you will pay a tariff, and in some cases, a rather large one. Other countries have used tariffs against us for decades, and now it's our turn to start using them against those other countries.
Here it
On
comes.
average, the European Union, China, Brazil, India, Mexico, and Canada, have you heard of them? And countless other nations charge us tremendously higher tariffs than we charge them. It's very unfair. India charges us auto tariffs higher than 100%. China's average tariff on our products is twice what we charge them. And South Korea's average tariff is 4 times higher. Think of that, 4 times higher. And we give so much help militarily and in so many other ways to South Korea, but that's what happens. This is happening by friend and foe. This system is not fair to the United States and never was, and so on April 2nd, I wanted to make it April 1st, but I didn't want to be accused of April Fool's Day. That's not, just one day was cost us a lot of money. But we're going to do it in April. I'm a very superstitious person. April 2nd, reciprocal tariffs kick in. And whatever they tariff us, other countries, we will tariff them. That's reciprocal, back and forth. Whatever they tax us, we will tax them. If they do non-monetary tariffs to keep us out of their market, then we will do non-monetary barriers to keep them out of our market. There's a lot of that, too. They don't even allow us in their market. We will take in trillions and trillions of dollars and create jobs like we have never seen before. I did it with China and I did it with others, and the Biden administration couldn't do anything about it because there was so much money they couldn't do anything about it. We have been ripped off for decades by nearly every country on earth, and we will not let that happen any longer. Much has been said over the last 3 months about Mexico and Canada, but we have very large deficits with both of them. But even more importantly, they've allowed fentanyl to come into our country at levels never seen before, killing hundreds of thousands of our citizens and many very young, beautiful people, destroying families. Nobody's ever seen anything like it. They are, in effect, receiving subsidies of hundreds of billions of dollars. We pay subsidies to Canada and to Mexico of hundreds of billions of dollars, and the United States will not be doing that any longer. We're not going to do it any longer. Thanks to our America First policies we're putting into place, we have had $1.7 trillion of new investment in America in just the past few weeks. The combination of the election and our economic policies that people of SoftBank, one of the most brilliant anywhere in the world, announced a $200 billion investment. OpenAI and Oracle, Larry Ellison, announced $500 billion investment, which they wouldn't have done if Kamala had won. Apple announced $500 billion investment. Tim Cook called me. He said, I cannot spend it fast enough. It's going to be much higher than that, I believe. They'll be building their plants here instead of in China. And just yesterday, Taiwan Semiconductor, the biggest in the world, most powerful in the world, has a tremendous amount, 97% of the market, announced a $165 billion investment to build the most powerful chips on earth right here in the USA. And we're not giving them any money. Your CHIPS Act is a horrible, horrible thing. We give hundreds of billions of dollars, and it doesn't mean a thing. They take our money and they don't spend it. All that meant to them, we're giving them no money. All that was important to them was they didn't want to pay the tariffs, so they came and they're building, and many other companies are coming. We don't have to give them money. We just want to protect our businesses and our people, and they will come because they won't have to pay tariffs if they build in America. So it's very amazing. You should get rid of the CHIP Act, and whatever's left over, Mr. Speaker, you should use it to reduce debt or any other reason you want to. Our new trade policy will also be great for the American farmer. I love the farmer. Who will now be selling into our home market, the USA, because nobody is going to be able to compete with you because there's goods that come in from other countries and companies. They're really in a bad position in so many different ways. They're uninspected. They may be very dirty and disgusting, and they come in and they pour in, and they hurt our American farmers. The tariffs will go on agricultural product coming into America, and our farmers, starting on April 2nd, it may be a little bit of an adjustment period. We had that before when I made the deal with China, $50 billion of purchases, and I said, just bear with me, and they did. They did. Probably have to bear with me again, and this will be even better. That was great. The problem with it was that Biden didn't enforce it. He didn't enforce it. $50 billion of purchases. They were doing great, but Biden did not enforce it, and it hurt our farmers. But our farmers are going to have a field day right now. So to our farmers, have a lot of fun. I love you too. I love you too. It's all going to happen. And I have also imposed a 25% tariff on foreign aluminum, copper, lumber, and steel, because if we don't have, as an example, steel and lots of other things, we don't have a military, and frankly, we just won't have a country very long. Here today is a proud American steelworker, fantastic person from Decatur, Alabama, Jeff Denard. Has been working at the same steel plant for 27 years in a job that has allowed him to serve as the captain of his local volunteer fire department, raise 7 children with his beautiful wife, Nicole, and over the years provide a loving home for more than 40 foster children. So great, Jeff. Thank you, Jeff. Thank you, Jeff. Stories like Jeff's remind us that tariffs are not just about protecting American jobs. They're about protecting the soul of our country. Tariffs are about making America rich again and making America great again, and it's happening, and it will happen rather quickly. There'll be a little disturbance, but we're okay with that. It won't be much. No, you're not. Oh. And look where Biden took us. Very low, the lowest we've ever been. Jeff, I want to thank you very much. And I also want to recognize another person who has devoted herself to foster care community. She works so hard on it. A very loving person, our magnificent First Lady of the United States. Melania's work has yielded incredible results, helping prepare our nation's future leaders as they enter the workforce. Our First Lady is joined by 2 impressive young women, very impressive. Haley Ferguson, who benefited from the First Lady's Fostering the Future initiative and is poised to complete her education and become a teacher. And Elliston Berry, who became a victim of an illicit deepfake image produced by a peer. With Elliston's help, the Senate just passed the Take It Down Act, and this is so important. Thank you very much, John. John Thune, thank you. Stand up, John. Thank you, John. Thank you all very much. Thank you. And thank you to John Thune and the Senate. Great job. To criminalize the publication of such images online is a terrible, terrible thing. And once it passes the House, I look forward to signing that bill into law. Thank you. And I'm going to use that bill for myself, too, if you don't mind. Because nobody gets treated worse than I do online. Nobody. That's great. Thank you very much to the Senate. Thank you. But if we truly care about protecting Americans' children, no step is more crucial than securing America's borders. Over the past 4 years, 21 million people poured into the United States. Many of them were murderers, human traffickers, gang members, and other criminals from the streets of dangerous cities all throughout the world. Because of Joe Biden's insane and very dangerous open border policies, they are now strongly embedded in our country, but we are getting them out and getting them out fast. And I want to thank Tom Homan and Christy. I want to thank you and Paul of Border Patrol. I want to thank you. What a job they've all done. Everybody, Border Patrol, ICE, law enforcement in general is incredible. We have to take care of our law enforcement. Have to. Last year, a brilliant 22-year-old nursing student named Laken Riley, the best in her class, admired by everybody, went out for a jog on the campus of the University of Georgia. That morning, Laken was viciously attacked, assaulted, beaten, brutalized, and horrifically murdered. Laken was stolen from us by a savage illegal alien gang member who was arrested while trespassing across Biden's open southern border and then set loose into the United States under the heartless policies of that failed administration. It was indeed a failed administration. He had then been arrested and released in a Democrat-run sanctuary city, a disaster, before ending the life of this beautiful young angel. With us this evening are Laken's beloved mother, Allison, and her sister, Lauren. Last year, I told Laken's grieving parents that we would ensure their daughter would not have died in vain. That's why the very first bill I signed into law as your 47th president mandates the detention of all dangerous criminal aliens who threaten public safety. It's a very strong, powerful act. It's called the Laken-Riley Act. So Allison and Lauren, America will never, ever forget our beautiful Laken Hope Riley. Thank you very much. Since taking office, my administration has launched the most sweeping border and immigration crackdown in American history, and we quickly achieved the lowest numbers of illegal border crossers ever recorded. Thank you.
And the Dems just sit there like a bunch of idiots.
And our friends in the Democrat Party kept saying we needed new legislation. We must have legislation to secure the border. But it turned out that all we really needed was a new president. Thank you.
Oh, those two are
Joe
just
Biden
horrid
didn't
looking.
just open our borders. He flew illegal aliens over them to overwhelm our schools, hospitals, and communities throughout the country. Entire towns like Aurora, Colorado, and Springfield, Ohio, buckled under the weight of the migrant occupation and corruption like nobody's ever seen before. Beautiful towns destroyed. Now, just as I promised in my inaugural address, we are achieving the great liberation of America. But there still is much work to be done. Here tonight is a woman I have gotten to know, Alexis Nungari from Houston. Wonderful woman. Last June, Alexis's 12-year-old daughter, her precious Jocelyn, walked to a nearby convenience store. She was kidnapped, tied up, assaulted for 2 hours under a bridge, and horrifically murdered. Arrested and charged with this heinous crime are two illegal alien monsters from Venezuela, released into America by the last administration through their ridiculous open border. The death of this beautiful 12-year-old girl and the agony of her mother and family touched our entire nation greatly. Alexis, I promised that we would always remember your daughter, your magnificent daughter, and earlier tonight I signed an order keeping my word to you. One thing I have learned about Jocelyn is that she loved animals so much. She loved nature. Across Galveston Bay, from where Jocelyn lived in Houston, you will find a magnificent national wildlife refuge, a pristine, peaceful, 34,000-acre sanctuary for all of God's creatures on the edge of the Gulf of America. Alexis, moments ago, I formally renamed that refuge in loving memory of your beautiful daughter, Jocelyn. So, Mr. Vice President, if you would, may I have the order? Thank you very much. All three savages charged with Jocelyn and Lakin's murders were members of the Venezuelan prison gang, the toughest gang, they say, in the world, known as Tren de Aragua. 2 weeks ago, I officially designated this gang, along with MS-13 and the bloodthirsty Mexican drug cartels, as foreign terrorist organizations. They are now officially in the same category as ISIS, and that's not good for them. Countless thousands of these terrorists were welcomed into the U.S. by the Biden administration. But now every last one will be rounded up and forcibly removed from our country, or, if they're too dangerous, put in jails, standing trial in this country, because we don't want them to come back ever. With us this evening is a warrior on the front lines of that battle, Border Patrol Agent Roberto Ortiz. Great guy. In January, Roberto and another agent were patrolling by the Rio Grande near an area known as Cartel Island. Doesn't sound too nice to me. When heavily armed gunmen started shooting at them. Roberto saw that his partner was totally exposed, at great danger, and he leapt into action, returning fire and providing crucial seconds for his fellow agent to seek safety, just barely. I have some of the prints of that event, and it was not good. Agent Ortiz, we salute you for your great courage and for your line of fire that you took and for the bravery that you showed. We honor you, and we will always honor you. Thank you, Roberto, very much. Thank you, Roberto. And I actually got to know him on my many calls to the border. He's a great gentleman. The territory to the immediate south of our border is now dominated entirely by criminal cartels that murder, rape, torture, and exercise total control. They have total control over a whole nation, posing a grave threat to our national security. The cartels are waging war in America, and it's time for America to wage war on the cartels, which we are doing. Five nights ago, Mexican authorities, because of our tariff policies being imposed on them, think of this, handed over to us 29 of the biggest cartel leaders in their country. That has never happened before. They want to make us happy. First time ever. But we need Mexico and Canada to do much more than they've done, and they have to stop the fentanyl and drugs pouring into the USA. They're going to stop it. I have sent Congress a detailed funding request laying out exactly how we will eliminate these threats to protect our homeland and complete the largest deportation operation in American history, larger even than current record holder President Dwight D. Eisenhower, a moderate man but someone who believed very strongly in borders. Americans expect Congress to send me this funding without delay so I can sign it into law. So, Mr. Speaker, John Thune, both of you, I hope you're going to be able to do that, Mr. Speaker. Thank you. Mr. Leader, thank you. Thank you very much. And let's get it to me. I'll sign it so fast, you won't even believe it. And as we reclaim our sovereignty, we must also bring back law and order to our cities and towns. In recent years, our justice system has been turned upside down by radical left lunatics. Many jurisdictions virtually ceased enforcing the law against dangerous repeat offenders while weaponizing law enforcement against political opponents like me. My administration has acted swiftly and decisively to restore fair, equal, and impartial justice under the constitutional rule of law, starting at the FBI and the DOJ. Pam, good luck. Cash, wherever you may be, good luck. Good luck. Pam Bondi. Good luck. So important. Going to do a great job. Cash, thank you. Thank you, Cash. They've already started very strong. They're going to do a fantastic job. You're going to be very proud of them. We're also once again giving our police officers the support, protection, and respect they so dearly deserve. They have to get it. They have such a hard, dangerous job, but we're going to make it less dangerous. The problem is the bad guys don't respect the law, but they're starting to respect it, and they soon will respect it. This also includes our great fire departments throughout the country. Our firemen and women are unbelievable people, and we'll never forget them. And besides that, they voted for me in record numbers, so I have no choice. 1 year ago this month, 31-year-old New York police officer Jonathan Diller, unbelievably wonderful person and a great officer, was gunned down at a traffic stop on Long Island. I went to his funeral. The vicious criminal charged with his murder had 21 prior arrests, and they were rough arrests, too. He was a real bad one. The thug in the seat next to him had 14 prior arrests and went by the name of Killer. He was Killer. He killed other people, they say, a lot of them. I attended Officer Diller's service, and when I met his wife and one-year-old son, Ryan, it was very inspirational, actually. His widow's name is Stephanie, and she is here tonight. Stephanie, thank you very much, Stephanie. Thank you very much. Stephanie, we're going to make sure that Ryan knows his dad was a true hero, New York's finest, and we're going to get these cold-blooded killers and repeat offenders off our streets, so we're going to do it fast. Got to stop it. They get out with 28 arrests. They push people into subway trains. They hit people over the head, back of the head with baseball bats. We got to get them out of here. I've already signed an executive order requiring a mandatory death penalty for anyone who murders a police officer, and tonight I'm asking Congress to pass that policy into permanent law. I'm also asking for a new crime bill getting tough on repeat offenders while enhancing protections for America's police officers so they can do their jobs without fear of their lives being totally destroyed. They don't want to be killed. We're not going to let them be killed. Joining us in the gallery tonight is a young man who truly loves our police. His name is DJ Daniel. He is 13 years old, and he has always dreamed of becoming a police officer. But in 2018, DJ was diagnosed with brain cancer. The doctors gave him 5 months at most to live. That was more than 6 years ago. Since that time, DJ and his dad have been on a quest to make his dream come true, and DJ has been sworn in as an honorary law enforcement officer, actually a number of times. The police love him, the police departments love him. And tonight, DJ, we're going to do you the biggest honor of them all. I am asking our new Secret Service Director, Sean Curran, to officially make you an agent of the United States Secret Service. DJ. DJ's doctors believe his cancer likely came from a chemical he was exposed to when he was younger. Since 1975, rates of child cancer have increased by more than 40%. Reversing this trend is one of the top priorities for our new presidential commission to make America healthy again, chaired by our new Secretary of Health and Human Services, Robert F. Kennedy, Jr. With the name Kennedy, you would have thought everybody over here would have been cheering. How quickly they forget. Our goal is to get toxins out of our environment, poisons out of our food supply, and keep our children healthy and strong. As an example, not long ago, and you can't even believe these numbers, 1 in 10,000 children had autism, 1 in 10,000. And now it's 1 in 36. There's something wrong. 1 in 36. Think of that. So we're going to find out what it is, and there's nobody better than Bobby and all of the people that are working with you. You have the best to figure out what is going on. Okay, Bobby? Good luck. It's a very important job. Thank you. Thank you. My administration is also working to protect our children from toxic ideologies in our schools. A few years ago, January Littlejohn and her husband discovered that their daughter's school had secretly socially transitioned their 13-year-old little girl. Teachers and administrators conspired to deceive January and her husband while encouraging her daughter to use a new name and pronouns. They, them pronoun, actually, all without telling January, who is here tonight and is now a courageous advocate against this form of child abuse. January, thank you. Thank you. Thank you very much. Thank you. Stories like this are why, shortly after taking office, I signed an executive order banning public schools from indoctrinating our children with transgender ideology. I also signed an order to cut off all taxpayer funding to any institution that engages in the sexual mutilation of our youth. And now I want Congress to pass a bill permanently banning and criminalizing sex changes on children and forever ending the lie that any child is trapped in the wrong body. This is a big lie. And our message to every child in America is that you are perfect exactly the way God made you. Because we're getting wokeness out of our schools and out of our military, and it's already out, and it's out of our society. We don't want it. Wokeness is trouble. Wokeness is bad. It's gone. It's gone. And we feel so much better for it, don't we? Don't we feel better? Our service members won't be activists and ideologues. They will be fighters and warriors. They will fight for our country. And Pete, congratulations. Secretary of Defense, congratulations. And he's not big into the woke movement, I can tell you. I know him well. I am pleased to report that in January, the U.S. Army had its single best recruiting month in 15 years, and that all armed services are having among the best recruiting results ever in the history of our services. What a difference. And you know, it was just a few months ago where the results were exactly the opposite. We couldn't recruit anywhere. We couldn't recruit. Now we're having the best results just about that we've ever had. What a tremendous turnaround. It's really a beautiful thing to see. People love our country again. It's very simple. They love our country, and they love being in our military again. So it's a great thing, and thank you very much. Great job. Thank you. We're joined tonight by a young man, Jason Hartley, who knows the weight of that call of duty. Jason's father, grandfather, and great-grandfather all wore the uniform. Jason tragically lost his dad, who was also a Los Angeles County Sheriff's deputy when he was just a boy, and now he wants to carry on the family legacy of service. Jason is a senior in high school, a 6-letter varsity athlete, a really good athlete, they say, a brilliant student with a 4.46, that's good, GPA. And his greatest dream is to attend the U.S. Military Academy at West Point. And Jason, that's a very big deal getting in. That's a hard one to get into. But I'm pleased to inform you that your application has been accepted. You will soon be joining the Corps of Cadets. Thank you. Jason, you're going to be on the long gray line, Jason. As Commander-in-Chief, my focus is on building the most powerful military of the future. As a first step, I'm asking Congress to fund a state-of-the-art Golden Dome missile defense shield to protect our homeland, all made in the USA. And Ronald Reagan wanted to do it long ago, but the technology just wasn't there, not even close. But now we have the technology. It's incredible, actually. And other places, they have it. Israel has it. Other places have it. And the United States should have it too, right, Tim, right? They should have it too. So I want to thank you. But it's a very, very important. This is a very dangerous world. We should have it. We want to be protected, and we're going to protect our citizens like never before. To boost our defense industrial base, we are also going to resurrect the American shipbuilding industry, including commercial shipbuilding and military shipbuilding. And for that purpose, I am announcing tonight that we will create a new Office of Shipbuilding in the White House and offer special tax incentives to bring this industry home to America where it belongs. We used to make so many ships. We don't make them anymore very much, but we're going to make them very fast, very soon. It will have a huge impact. To further enhance our national security, my administration will be reclaiming the Panama Canal, and we've already started doing it. Just today, a large American company announced they are buying both ports around the Panama Canal and lots of other things having to do with the Panama Canal and a couple of other canals. The Panama Canal was built by Americans for Americans, not for others, but others could use it. But it was built at tremendous cost of American blood and treasure. 38,000 workers died building the Panama Canal. They died of malaria. They died of snake bites and mosquitoes. Not a nice place to work. They paid them very highly to go there, knowing there was a 25% chance that they would die. The most expensive project also that was ever built in our country's history, if you bring it up to modern day costs. It was given away by the Carter administration for $1, but that agreement has been violated very severely. We didn't give it to China. We gave it to Panama, and we're taking it back. And we have Marco Rubio in charge. Good luck, Marco. Now, we know who to blame if anything goes wrong. Marco's been amazing, and he's going to do a great job. Think of it. He got 100 votes. You know, he was approved with actually 99, but the 100th was this gentleman, and I feel very certain. So let's assume he got 100 votes. And I'm either very, very happy about that or I'm very concerned about it. But he's already proven. I mean, he's a great gentleman. He's respected by everybody, and we appreciate you voting for Marco. He's going to do a fantastic job. Thank you. Thank you. He's doing a great job. Great job. And I also have a message tonight for the incredible people of Greenland. We strongly support your right to determine your own future. And if you choose, we welcome you into the United States of America. We need Greenland for national security and even international security, and we're working with everybody involved to try and get it. But we need it really for international world security, and I think we're going to get it. One way or the other, we're going to get it. We will keep you safe. We will make you rich, and together we will take Greenland to heights like you have never thought possible before. It's a very small population, but very, very large piece of land and very, very important for military security. America is once again standing strong against the forces of radical Islamic terrorism. 3.5 years ago, ISIS terrorists killed 13 American service members and countless others in the Abbey Gate bombing during the disastrous and incompetent withdrawal from Afghanistan. Not that they were withdrawing, it was the way they withdrew. Perhaps the most embarrassing moment in the history of our country. Tonight, I am pleased to announce that we have just apprehended the top terrorist responsible for that atrocity, and he is right now on his way here to face the swift sword of American justice. And I want to thank especially the government of Pakistan for helping arrest this monster. This was a very momentous day for those 13 families who I actually got to know very well, most of them, whose children were murdered, and the many people that were so badly, over 42 people, so badly injured on that fateful day in Afghanistan. What a horrible day. Such incompetence was shown. That when Putin saw what happened, I guess he said, wow, maybe this is my chance. That's how bad it was. Should have never happened. Grossly incompetent people. I spoke to many of the parents and loved ones, and they're all in our hearts tonight. Just spoke to them on the phone. We had a big call every one of them called, and everybody was on the line, and they did nothing but cry with happiness. They were very happy, as happy as you can be under those circumstances. Their child, brother, sister, son, daughter was killed for no reason whatsoever. In the Middle East, we're bringing back our hostages from Gaza. In my first term, we achieved one of the most groundbreaking peace agreements in generations, the Abraham Accords. And now we're going to build on that foundation to create a more peaceful and prosperous future for the entire region. A lot of things are happening in the Middle East. People haven't been talking about that so much lately with everything going on with Ukraine and Russia. But a lot of things are happening in the Middle East. It's a rough neighborhood, actually. I'm also working tirelessly to end the savage conflict in Ukraine. Millions of Ukrainians and Russians have been needlessly killed or wounded in this horrific and brutal conflict with no end in sight. The United States has sent hundreds of billions of dollars to support Ukraine's defense with no security, with no anything. Do you want to keep it going for another 5 years? Yeah, you would say Pocahontas says yes.
Okay, well, who was she talking to there? Oh, okay, yeah.
2,000 people are being killed every single week. More than that. They're Russian young people. They're Ukrainian young people. They're not Americans. But I want it to stop. Meanwhile, Europe has sadly spent more money buying Russian oil and gas than they have spent on defending Ukraine, by far. Think of that. They've spent more buying Russian oil and gas than they have defending. And we've spent perhaps $350 billion, like taking candy from a baby. That's what happened. And they've spent $100 billion. What a difference that is. And we have an ocean separating us, and they don't. But we're getting along very well with them, and lots of good things are happening. Biden has authorized more money in this fight than Europe has spent, by billions and billions of dollars. It's hard to believe that they wouldn't have stopped it and said at some point, come on, let's equalize. You got to be equal to us. But that didn't happen. Earlier today, I received an important letter from President Zelensky of Ukraine. The letter reads, Ukraine is ready to come to the negotiating table as soon as possible to bring lasting peace closer. Nobody wants peace more than the Ukrainians, he said. My team and I stand ready to work under President Trump's strong leadership to get a peace that lasts. We do really value how much America has done to help Ukraine maintain its sovereignty and independence. Regarding the agreement on minerals and security, Ukraine is ready to sign it at any time that is convenient for you. I appreciate that he sent this letter, just got it a little while ago. Simultaneously, we've had serious discussions with Russia and have received strong signals that they are ready for peace. Wouldn't that be beautiful? Wouldn't that be beautiful?
No Democrats stand up for peace? That is sick.
Wouldn't that be beautiful? It's time to stop this madness. It's time to halt the killing. It's time to end this senseless war. If you want to end wars, you have to talk to both sides. Nearly 4 years ago, amid rising tensions, a history teacher named Mark Fogel was detained in Russia and sentenced to 14 years in a penal colony. Rough stuff. The previous administration barely lifted a finger to help him. They knew he was innocent, but they had no idea where to begin. But last summer, I promised his 95-year-old mother, Malphine, that we would bring her boy safely back home. After 22 days in office, I did just that, and they are here tonight. To Mark and his great mom, we are delighted to have you safe and sound and with us. As fate would have it, Mark Fogel was born in a small rural town in Butler, Pennsylvania. Have you heard of it? Where his mother has lived for the past 78 years. I just happened to go there last July 13th for a rally. That was not pleasant. And that is where I met his beautiful mom right before I walked onto that stage. And I told her I would not forget what she said about her son. And I never did I? Never forgot. Less than 10 minutes later, at that same rally, gunfire rang out, and a sick and deranged assassin unloaded 8 bullets from his sniper's perch into a crowd of many thousands of people. My life was saved by a fraction of an inch, but some were not so lucky. Corey Comparator was a firefighter, a veteran, a Christian, a husband, a devoted father, and above all, a protector. When the sound of gunshots pierced the air, it was a horrible sound. Corey knew instantly what it was and what to do. He threw himself on top of his wife and daughters and shielded them from the bullets with his own body. Corey was hit really hard. You know the story from there. He sacrificed his life to save theirs. 2 others, very fine people, were also seriously hit. But thankfully, with the help of 2 great country doctors, we thought they were gone and they were saved. So those doctors had great talent. We're joined by Corey's wife, Helen, who was his high school sweetheart, and their 2 beloved daughters, Allison and Kaylee. Thank you. To Helen, Allison, and Kaylee, Corey is looking down on his 3 beautiful ladies right now, and he is cheering you on. He loves you. He is cheering you on. Corey was taken from us much too soon, but his destiny was to leave us all with a shining example of the selfless devotion of a true American patriot. It was love like Corey's that built our country, and it's love like Corey's that is going to make our country more majestic than ever before. I believe that my life was saved that day in Butler for a very good reason. I was saved by God to make America great again. I believe that. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you very much. From the patriots of Lexington and Concord to the heroes of Gettysburg and Normandy, from the warriors who crossed the Delaware to the trailblazers who climbed the Rockies, and from the legends who soared at Kitty Hawk to the astronauts who touched the moon, Americans have always been the people who defied all odds, transcended all dangers, made the most extraordinary sacrifices, and did whatever it took to defend our children, our country, and our freedom. And as we have seen in this chamber tonight, that same strength, faith, love, and spirit is still alive and thriving in the hearts of the American people. Despite the best efforts of those who would try to censor us, silence us, break us, destroy us, Americans are today a proud, free, sovereign, and independent nation that will always be free, and we will fight for it till death. We will never let anything happen to our beloved country, because we are a country of doers, dreamers, fighters, and survivors. Our ancestors crossed a vast ocean, strode into the unknown wilderness, and carved their fortunes from the rock and soil of a perilous and very dangerous frontier. They chased our destiny across a boundless continent. They built the railroads, laid the highways, and graced the world with American marvels like the Empire State Building, the mighty Hoover Dam, and the towering Golden Gate Bridge. They lit the world with electricity, broke free of the force of gravity, fired up the engines of American industry, vanquished the communists, fascists, and Marxists all over the world, and gave us countless modern wonders sculptured out of iron, glass, and steel. We stand on the shoulders of these pioneers who won and built the modern age, these workers who poured their sweat into the skylines of our cities, these warriors who shed their blood on fields of battle and gave everything they had for our rights and for our freedom. Now it is our time to take up the righteous cause of American liberty. And it is our turn to take America's destiny into our own hands and begin the most thrilling days in the history of our country. This will be our greatest era. With God's help, over the next 4 years, we are going to lead this nation even higher, and we are going to forge the freest, most advanced, most dynamic, and most dominant civilization ever to exist on the face of this earth. We are going to create the highest quality of life, build the safest and wealthiest and healthiest and most vital communities anywhere in the world. We are going to conquer the vast frontiers of science, and we are going to lead humanity into space and plant the American flag on the planet Mars and even far beyond. And through it all, we are going to rediscover the unstoppable power of the American spirit. And we are going to renew unlimited promise of the American dream. Every single day, we will stand up and we will fight, fight, fight for the country our citizens believe in and for the country our people deserve. My fellow Americans, get ready for an incredible future, because the golden age of America has only just begun. It will be like nothing that has ever been seen before. Thank you, God bless you, and God bless America.
And he didn't once open his binder. He didn't have to refer to anything. That was awesome. Although I would have liked it if he took a poke at Trudeau. What if there's going to be anything more?
Thank you.
Just a bunch of handshakes.
Right on. Thank you. Thank you. Get this place going, all right? Thank you. It's a great honor. Thank you. Thank you, Mr. President. Thank you very much.
I'm just going to turn off the sound there, and I'll watch it while we talk a little bit in case something else comes up that's interesting, but I think it's pretty much done. I thought that was kind of interesting. He had a lot to say. What was I found very interesting, he didn't have to refer to any notes at all. Not like old Biden there. Yeah, so, despite, everything, I think that he is probably he's the second best president that has been around in my lifetime. Put it that way, because I will never I don't think anybody can be as good in my books as Ronald Reagan. However, I am a little bit biased there. But even though I could do without some of the things he says and the way he, the way he says things, it is humorous. I can say it is humorous. But I think that his track record in his first session as president, his first term, and now so far in this term, it's like he's served almost an entire term in 6 weeks. He's done so much. So I think that's good. I think that America is in for a good 4 years, and it'd be great if somehow Canada could get in on that. I think that once we get rid of Trudeau, as long as Mark's Carney doesn't become our next long-term prime minister, as long as the Conservatives get in, I think that we could possibly have a good relationship with the U.S., which is all we can really hope for. So anyway, thanks for joining in. I think I'm going to call it here. I got to get up and move around. Sitting here for, 3 hours now? That's not good for anyone. But I think actually somebody was talking to Trump the other day in the Oval Office, and I don't know, it's almost like they watched one of my videos, because they were talking about the path for Western Canada to join the United States, and they actually talked just about Alberta going first, and then Saskatchewan, and then possibly British Columbia after that. So it's almost like somebody was watching one of my videos. I don't know about that. But anyway, thanks for hanging out for the last 3 hours, 2 of which he talked for a good 2 hours, which is crazy, and not with any notes. So I think that was just great. Thanks for hanging out. I'll be back on Thursday, and we can talk about a few other things. I got some things that I think I want to talk about, and we'll just see how that works out. You guys have a great evening, and hopefully rest of your week.
You've been watching the Northwest Cavalryman Show. Thank you for tuning in this evening. I hope you've enjoyed the content. Don't forget to like and subscribe. and share with your friends and on social media. May God bless you. And if you're a liberal crybaby, bless your heart. Have a great rest of your week, and we'll see you next Thursday.